Okay, good morning, everybody. Today is class 16 of Delgado's Cadd 212. Today is Wednesday, April 7th. Today in class, we're going to discuss design development phase. Also in Revit, we're going to learn how to do section views, talk about how to upgrade our interiors, and do some what I call advanced tricks. Learn how to create dormers and standing seam metal roofs. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just to touch base on y'all's projects, those of you who have turned in your project work, I've made some comments on your project work. A couple of you suggested that we get together so we can kind of work on some of your design ideas. Some of the ideas are really good. They just need a little tweaking, and sometimes that works best if we work one-on-one. So please read your notes. If you've got questions about that, get back to me. If you want to meet one-on-one, please shoot me a text, because that's just easier for me. And then we can set up a time to meet so we can kind of work on your projects one-on-one, and kind of address some issues that we haven't actually had a chance to cover in class for some of you that have like a more a larger design ideas than we've gone over so far. Okay, that being said, basically what we're doing is moving into a new phase of our architectural plans. We were previously working in schematic design phase, where we basically talk to the client, get some ideas sketched out, figure out how we want to attack the plan. This next phase that we move into is called design development phase. And these are all phases that you'll hear used in architectural offices. People say like, oh, we're in SDs, we're in schematic design. Right now we're in DDs, we're in the design development phase. And this just means this is where we actually work on the ideas that we have, refine them, work on our detail work, really kind of get everything worked out. I've got this is another definition on here for you. You can read that. But it's really working on our designs, developing those better, redefining them, and really working on our details. So that's really what we're doing now. We've worked on our design. We came up with our sketches or our floor plans. We have an idea of what our floor plans want to look like, but now you really have to move into actually making those ideas come to life. So that's what we're doing. The client has also given us some more information. They want a standing seam metal roof on this building, and learn how to do that. And we also want to incorporate some dormers into this building as well. What's interesting is that in some of your designs, and quite a few actually, you're working on flat roofs. So dormers will not work in flat roofs, but I still need to see that you know how to do dormers. So for those of you who don't want to change your design ideas and want to keep your flat roofs, I'm okay with that. But I still need to see that you can do dormers. So you can do like a little separate side project, and just do a little side building, and just submit that on how you would do a dormer not included into your actual project itself. So that's okay. So that way you don't change your design ideas. All right, that being said, we'll go ahead and jump into Revit work today. First thing we're going to do is section views, and let's go ahead and start that. I guess I should have started Revit first. Before we move on to that, any questions about curtain walls? Everybody felt pretty comfortable about that? Curtain walls are actually kind of fun. I think they do add a interesting design element. You can incorporate them into your building several different ways. I really do like the curtain walls and just kind of playing with those and seeing how we can incorporate those. If you do end up having questions about that before you turn in this set of work, let me know. We can work on those as well. This work will be due Saturday. I think I've given you till 11 o'clock. Remember that this work does not count for or against your grade. It's just a way for me to keep track of your work, see how you're doing, catch any problems that are early. It is a really good way for you to just kind of turn in your work and get some advice on it. And it doesn't affect your grade negatively or positively. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just a way for me to keep track of it. All right, let's jump into today's project. Whose shall I use? Let's just go back to this one. All right, so we do use section views a lot. And section views, if we remember back to our original plan set that we looked at, are ways that we can, as I say, section off the building to see kind of like what's going on the inside. This is usually used for really specific areas of interest. So you want to think about where you want to create your section views and see which one looks the best. You can make a few different section views and then you kind of go with it from there. As you create your section views, they're going to show up in your project browser. So let's go ahead and create a couple and see how that works. All right, in our quick access toolbar right here, if you look at this little symbol where it says section views, you can just click on that. And notice how our cursor is going to turn into this. And let's just go ahead and start here. So if we click here and just bring it all the way through the building, that's going to create a section view for that entire wall. A couple of different things, points of interest we want to notice on here. If, for instance, we did the section view the wrong way, if I actually wanted it to look this way, I can just click on there's my toggles. Click on my toggles right here, and they'll flip that view the other way. I actually do want it this way, so we'll keep it here. At this point, you'll notice that there's a section view, there's a section symbol on this part, but not this part. We can go ahead and just kind of cycle through these different options here. So you can see that they can pop up on different sides. If we don't want it on this side, we can use it like that. And this also shows you your view field. So the view field goes through the window, through the wall. And then if we brought the section view, the field right here, it would only go up to where that location line is there. So we always want to make sure it goes through a point of interest. So let's take a look at how those different things will work. All right. As I said, when you create your section view, it shows up in your project browser. So it automatically saves itself. So if we go to section view and we click on it right here, this is actually what that section view looks like, where that cut piece is, and you see it'll go through the entire house. We can change the level that we want it to be. If we only wanted it to show this section, we could do here. We wanted it to do the entire wall, we wouldn't do here. This is what's nice about the section views. It does give us, show us if there's an issue going on with anything. So whoever this is, you have some walls that need to be corrected. Now this is an older model, so these may have been corrected already, but you want to adjust these so they don't go through there. And what I mean by that is highlight it, make it active, and then change that constraint. It's probably going to be 9'2". Okay, and that one did change just to there. That's okay. It's basically what we have here is that this third floor is now resting on top of that wall, as opposed to that wall intersecting that floor. So we want to look at different things like that. So section views give us a lot of interest and a lot of show us a lot about what's going on the inside of the building. On this one as well, I can see that this window is probably at a wrong level because the ceiling is intersecting it. So lots of information here. It also gets interesting once you get your floors in place, your stairs in place, to see how those work as well. Let me jump back to floor level 1, and let's just flip this around so you can see what the difference is between the two. So I'm going to click on it, make it active, click on the toggles and flip it the other way, and then go back to that section view and see what happened. So subtle difference here, you can see the difference between the two. Here's that wall that we corrected before. So what I would suggest is just going in and practice doing a bunch of section views and seeing if you can get the most interesting one. What will get busy is if you do a lot of section views and you get all these section views showing up in your drawing and they kind of get in the way. So you can hide those. Remember, you can temporarily hide, isolate. If you want to click and hide that, you can do hide in view category and that'll hide them all at once. Remember, if you do that, you have to go back to the reveal hidden elements and turn them back on. All right, let me turn you back on. Hide in view category. So once you put start putting a lot of section views in there, it will muddy up this part of the work. So you may want to just kind of turn those on and off as you need. And we'll talk about incorporating these into our work once we start moving into the next phase of our project, which will be construction documents. And we'll be talking about construction documents in 2 weeks. And that's really where we start getting all of our sheets together, finishing all our work. So next week, we'll be doing some advanced site work, creating our parking lots and things like that. And after that, we're moving into our construction document phase. So let's do one more section view. You can also access section views by going to the View tab. Section tools right here into the Create panel. And we'll do one more going this way. Let's try it this way. And let's just say we want this part right here. Let's say I accidentally shrink my view screen to this point. So let's see what's going on in that section view that I created. I've got something that looks like that. This section view intersected the other section view here. Let's turn on our color here. We see something that looks like that. So let's go back to level 1. Stretch out that view so it incorporates through the rest of the wall and see what changes. So now you notice the difference between how we did the original view field, where it did not access the back wall. You could not see the windows and everything through it. All that was cut off just because that view screen was was truncated. So make sure that when you do your section views, it incorporates the entire view that you want it to. So I can also shrink this down. So if I just wanted to highlight this area right here, there you can see like a much closer section view of that one room right there. So, and then we can shrink this in this way as well. So just wanted to show you this today so you just kind of start playing with it. You can also use it as a tool to find some errors that you may have made in your project that you couldn't catch another way. And once we move into CDs, we'll start using section views in our sheets and define those a little bit more. But here you can at least start kind of playing with them and using them for your design work. All right, any questions about section views, y'all? Okay, cool. We'll move on. Next thing that we're going to talk about today is interiors, how we want to do our finished floors and our paint. So part of this project is we're trying to stretch our design skills a little bit. We want to think about how we want to do our interiors. So and the people that have turned in their work progress so far, haven't seen a lot of changes as far as interiors or exteriors. I think there's only a couple of people that have done that. We really want to take the time to make this building unique and different, kind of like what we've seen with previous students' work when we looked at this example back here. Granted, this person set the bar pretty high. I don't expect this, but we want to start thinking about how we want to change this up and incorporate this into like a larger scale design. It's really a good way to stretch your design chops on it and use those. So that also includes changing our interiors. And what I mean by that is, let me jump to 3D. Hide this. So we have our finished floors that we did, but we all have these same finished floors. We want to, we're all using the same wood joist 10-inch wood finished floor. We want to actually add our finished floors on top of that. So please make sure that you're updating that. And then also, I mentioned that we want to start painting the walls. Some of you that have tried to paint the walls so far have noticed that there are some issues with our paint. If we paint part of the wall, kind of like we've split the walls vertically, so we can paint different sections of the wall, you'll notice that if you paint this room, it's going to paint the entire wall. Or when we had this room painted and you painted and you raised the roof, it extended the paint all the way up through this entire wall. So there's a way that we can actually split these walls horizontally, the same way we split them vertically, and that way you can have this wall painted a different color than this wall, than this wall. So it's all about kind of sectioning off that. Now, you don't need to have every single room painted a different color, but I would like to see just some variation in interiors for your work. It just gives you good practice on doing that, and this is something that will come up again on your final. So that being said, let's figure out how we can split this wall to have different paint on the first, second, and third floors. All right, let's just go ahead and paint it now. Let's paint it first. Let's go to Modify tab. Let's go to Paint. And we'll just use something that's here already. My favorite, the bright yellow parking stripe. Ooh. All right, so we painted the entire wall, but we only want this bright yellow on this first floor. We need these other floors different colors. So how do we do that? Let's go to a view where we have full access of that section view. We can see this wall right here. It's going to give us a straight cut. We always want to come on to these views from a straight view. We don't want to come on from an angle view like this, because sometimes those cuts are a little off. And so we'll make sure that we're on a pure right view. So it's a head-on view. Remember, in order to do that, we want to go to our Modify tab, our Modify panel, and our Split Element tool, the one that looks like a little X-Acto knife. And just like we did it vertically, we're going to do the same thing horizontally. And you're going to come here and we're going to split that wall right there. Now I have one wall segment here. I've got another wall segment here. I've got my little X-Acto knife still active. Notice that location right there. And it's intersected in between this floor, and that's what we want. And I'll click there again. So now I've split this wall into 3 distinct wall sections. 1, 2, 3. Now I can paint each one of these separately. You don't need to have each wall, each room a different paint, but we do want each floor to have at least a different paint. So let's go ahead and remove the paint, that we have on these other two. I'm gonna get rid of that paint, I'm gonna get rid of that paint, and let's paint them something else. So now I wanna paint, just use the oak flooring here. Let's use this weird blue here. That comes out green. All right, so that's pretty much what we want to do. You want to have at least each floor have a different paint. I'll leave it up to you how much more you want to do besides that, but I do want to see that you can split these walls horizontally and apply different paint to three different levels. So that one's pretty quick and easy. Any questions about that? Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. So now we have, there's these next two things are a little bit more advanced. Dormers are pretty straightforward because there's a lot of steps to it, but it's uses a tool that's you already have access to. Standing seam metal roofs is a kind of way that we can take the knowledge that we already have, change it up a little bit, add some extra steps to it, and make something that's really kind of fancy and cool. It's a way that we can take Revit and kind of expand it it's beyond what it just does for the basics to make something a little bit more complicated. So when you're adding these to your buildings, you want to make sure you do dormers first and then the standing seam metal roof. If you have a flat roof, you can do your dormers separate on a separate file, but you do need to turn in that file. But you should incorporate the standing seam metal roof into your building itself. Flat roofs are not usually standing seam metal roofs. In fact, I don't think they're standing seam metal roofs at all. But just for our design element, we're going to have them be a standing seam metal roof for this project. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into dormers. Dormers is where we're going to start using a lot more levels. I'm going to start adding levels for where we want these dormers to be incorporated. And what I mean by dormers, these little windows right here. Just want to learn how to add these. Some of you have these in your house now, and we didn't really touch on that in the first half of the class, but we're going to learn how to do these in this section. So the first thing you want to do is go to an elevation view. We'll just go to our south view. And we're going to add a few more elevations. And remember to do that, we're going to go to Architecture tab, Datum panel, and the Level tool. We'll click on that, and we're just going to add this right here. I don't have an exact measurement on that yet, so I'm just going to drop in a couple. So I need one for the top of the dormer and one for the bottom of the dormer. I just want to make sure that they're all connected somehow. And I'm just going to drop it in, make sure that they're connected, and then change some information. So they're all connected. They all work in unison. Let's zoom in here. I'm going to change this to dormer bottom or dormer base. When you change a level, it's going to ask you if you want to rename all corresponding views, and you want to put yes. If you don't, it's going to confuse everything over here. It'll just show up in this view and it'll drive you crazy. So make sure that you always do that. So for level 6, let's change that to dormer top. Same thing here. Yes, we do want it in all corresponding views. So what does this mean? Let's go to a different elevation. This means that when we start putting in our dormers, this is going to be the base part where it rests. And this is going to be obviously the top where it ends. So basically we're creating that little dormer in this section between here and here. If we wanted it to be a little lower, we can change this. So if we wanted this to be 35 feet. And then if we wanted this dormer to be smaller, say at 38 feet. Oops, no, that's like a dormer for a mouse. So 42 feet. So something small like that. Obviously, during your design phase, you would want to make sure that this is in scale with your house. Or what we're going to do is just, I just want you to play with it so you get the basics down on how to create this. And then we'll worry about scale a little bit later. So in order to start drawing our dormers, we want to start on dormer base level. So we're going to find that in our floor plans and jump to dormer base level. This is the view that we have, something like this. So basically, we just want to start drawing these 3 walls of the dormer. So we're going to draw the side wall of the dormer and the front, the 2 side walls in the front. So I'm going to go to Architecture tab, Wall Tool. You should use the same exterior wall that you have. So here I'm going to start with my wall here. And I'm just going to
exterior wall or interior wall?
Exterior wall. Because this is, yeah. Did I say interior or exterior wall?
Yeah, well, you have the interior wall activated right now.
Oh, I do? Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Ah, thank you. Excellent. All right. Yeah, we just want to kind of click on the inside so it starts, because we're not sure where it's going to start yet. Just kind of play with that. Let's make that 9 feet. I just want to draw like 3 sides of a rectangle. And let's jump to 3D and see what that looks like. That looks great. No. But this is a pretty good start. So what I'm looking at here, a couple of different things. I want to make sure that this wall is actually incorporated inside the roof itself. Sometimes when you start drawing these, and you start that drawing at the beginning, too far out, you might end up with something that kind of looks like this. This is why we have our side view. So we can kind of see that that would have been extended way too far to the front. So I'll just bring that back to where I had it, which is actually a pretty good size. And these walls have defaulted to unconnected and 20 feet. So I can change this top constraint right now to, if I change that to dormer top, we know what happens there. It kind of attaches there, or we can just kind of leave it as is. It's okay if we leave it as is now. It's just good to know how we can change those if we need to. So let's just leave it like that for now. Let me jump back to dormer base level. I'm going to flip these walls just so they look correct when we look at it in 3D and in color. So I have the brick on the outside. So the next thing I want to do is I want to start drawing a roof on top of these walls. So just like our regular roof, we go to Architecture tab, Build Panel, Roof Tool. I like to default to the 9-inch. And let's do a 1-foot overhang. So since this is a dormer, I know I need a slope on this side. I need a slope on this side. I'm going to turn my slope off for that front view. And for this last part, since I don't have a wall to pick off of, I need to draw that last roof line. So I'm going to just draw that. I don't draw it all the way back here, just kind of like to draw it here. Just because it makes things a little bit easier for me later on, and you'll see why. So I'm going to use my corner tool and just trim off that. All right, so I got my basic roof laid out, and now I hit my green check mark. I don't want to attach these walls right now, and we'll deal with that later. And let's jump to 3D and see what we created. Ugh, once again, not what we wanted. So how do we fix that? Let's go ahead and click on that little roof that we just created. It's located right now on dormer base level. And let's change that to dormer top. So we're getting there, starting to look a little bit better. So now what I want to do is I want to attach these walls to this roof. So highlight that wall, make it active, attach top to base, and start bringing these guys together. So we still got this weird thing right here where these walls are sticking up. That's because when we drew this roof, it was got this weird little roof line here. But when we correct that, you'll see how that fixes itself. So the next thing we want to do is connect this roof to this roof. So we do that by going to our Modify tab. And to this little tool over here in our geometry panel, if we click on there, it says Join Unjoined Roofs. So what we basically want to do is click on that. Click on the roof line that you want to connect to the roof you want to connect to. And it's giving me this error because I did attach top to, I attached these walls already. So if I hit unjoin elements, it's going to give me something like this where it's freaking out. It's like, something weird that looks like that, but that's okay. We can still fix that. That's not a problem. So at this point, I'm going to take this wall again. Oops, not that one. Take that wall and do attach top to base again. Can't keep wall and roof joint. Well, that's not what we want to see. That's sometimes you'll run into a problem like that where you're going to have that issue. So a couple of different ways we can attack that. Probably the easiest one to do that is just go ahead and do edit profile. And then you can just bring that down so it's incorporated into that roof line there. And we've corrected it that way. And we'll do the same thing with this little guy right here. Let's see if we can do attach top to base on it. And this just has to do with the way things are drawn originally. So let's tackle this one a different way. Click on that, make it active. And for this one, we'll just pull that back a little bit. And then we'll go back to 3D. And we've solved that issue right there. Yeah, what we would actually have in our actual set of drawings is where these wall connections are. We would have details of how those wall sections work together. So what we're trying to do here is just get this model correct. And for our plan views, that's going to work where we want it to. But for actual detail work of how that's constructed, remember that would be a separate detail for that. So what we want to do is just make sure this wall works together within our model. So now we have the beginnings of our dormer. The next thing we want to do, like, let's hide this for a second. So when we remove that, we can still see like this, the roof in the house. What we're basically going to do now is cut a dormer shaped hole in the roof so we can see through there. And how do we do that? Is by going to Architecture tab, Opening panel, and notice we have a dormer tool right here, so it's automatically going to cut that for you. So let's click on that, make it active. The first thing you want to do is click on the roof where you want to cut the dormer hole, so that would be a large roof. Click on that there. And on our ribbon, it shows you, it just wants to pick the roof and wall edges now. So we're just going to pick the front and the two side walls. You can see how those are popping up. And the last is this roof line right here. And we end up with something like that. Now, sometimes if you leave it like this, it'll work. Sometimes we have to use our corner tool in order to fix that. So it's just good to be in the habit of using this corner tool, kind of trim off those extras and connect these open spots. So we have like a perfect little house looking shape right there. So let's click on the green arrow. What happened? Not sure. Let's change this to consistent color. Let's see. Even when we click on that roof line and just, you can see that that worked because we can see through that roof now. And now we have a nice dormer opening right there. And not hard, just a lot of steps, and just a lot of steps that you have to have in the right order. So I'll do another one. Let's put that back. All right. The good news now is we already have our levels in place, so we can just start off back on our dormer base level. And we'll just create another one over here. So remember to do that, we want to go to our Texture tab, Build Panel Wall Tool, continue using our exterior wall. And we're going to start that in the same place with the location line. Location line there. It was 9 feet that I had. Oops. We now have our chain on, so let's put that back. So this wall's inside out because my toggles are on the inside. We'll flip that. Same thing for this one, flip that. Now my exterior walls are lined up correctly. Let's just go to 3D, see what it looks like. Same thing that we had before, which is nice. It's perfect. Let's go back to dormer base level. We're going to start drawing our little roof in place. So Architecture tab, Roof tool. I'm going to turn the slope on with a 1 foot overhang for the two sides. No slope for the front. And draw that last wall in place here. Let me do it a little bit closer here. And sometimes it makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't where you draw this. I'm trying to eliminate the problem we had with the walls before. We'll see what happens when I do it this time. Now I've got that finished, I'll go ahead and hit my green check mark. I don't want to attach those. Let's go to 3D. Got something that looks like that. Click on that roof, make it active. Change it from dormer base to dormer top. And now I'm going to connect this roof to this roof before I adjust the walls, and let's see how that makes a difference. All right, Modify tab, Geometry panel, Join Roof tool. So click on that, make it. Wait, let's remove this. Something's not right. Oh, there it goes. All right, it did join. And let's try and fix these walls now. Let's try and do them all at the same time. So let's click on that, Control key, attach top to base, click on the roof. Still have that same problem. That's so weird. the unjoined elements, and let's go to dormer base level. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull these little walls in a little bit closer. See if that makes a difference. I would want to do the same with these. Let's just kind of play with it for now. This is the problem with that. Fix that side, but not this one. So I'm going to do the same trick with this one over here. Highlight that, make it active. Edit profile. And I'm just going to bring that down so it's in the middle of that wall, in the middle of that roof line. So now we have the two dormers. This one is working. This one hasn't been cut out yet, so we'll do that cutout next. I'm going to architecture tab, opening panel, dormer tool. You want to click on the main roof that you want the dormer hole cut out of. Now you're going to pick roof edges and wall edges. Pick the three walls. Pick that back roof line. Let's see what happens when we hit the green check mark now. It did actually work there. Yeah, it did actually work that on that one. So sometimes you have to correct those magenta lines to make it work. Sometimes you don't. It used to have to always do that. They've made it a little bit adjustments, so you don't. Sometimes it's more accurate, or it works this way as well. Just this way, you know, both. You can do it both ways if you're having issues with that. So let's go ahead and turn color back on. And let's go ahead and hide. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Undo. Let's go ahead and hide that. And now I've got two dormer openings there. And then one final thing that we can do on these dormers to make them look a little bit interesting is let's go ahead and jump back to dormer top. Let's go to our window tool. Let's pick like a nice small window. Let's just try this one, see if that one will fit. I'll drop that window right there. Let's go to 3D, see how that looks. That looks ridiculous. How can we fix that? Let's see. Let's take this little window right here that's kind of like hanging out in the middle of nowhere and change that from dormer top to dormer base. And that works a lot better. We can actually incorporate a much bigger window into it. But if you put a window there, the window looks ridiculous. Let's change it. Whoops. Yeah, that's getting better. So we can drop the windows in each one as well. Oh, look at this wall over here. Look what I just caught. This looks bad. All right, so that obviously did not fix that correctly. So let's do edit profile on that again. Let's bring that up a little bit more. And check. You are going to torture me, aren't you all? So I need to fix this a little bit better. So if you do have a problem like that, what you can do is go to your dormer base level again. And notice how if we access these walls, right, I don't want that, I want the wall, thank you. How this wall ends here, we can pull this wall back. Oops, not that one, this one. pull this one back. Nope. Yeah. Trying to get it to end with this piece in the front. And then if this piece butts up against it, hopefully that works. And we'll go to 3D. Yeah. So I just made this front wall the main wall, so it doesn't end in a corner. It doesn't end in a this wall to the front. It ends with like a long flat piece of this wall in the front, and this wall butts up against this one. That's how I eliminated that. Okay. So that's pretty much dormers. Once again, just practice on those, making sure you get all the steps correct. Any questions about dormers before we move on to the last thing today, which is standing seam metal roofs? What I would do is, if I were you, I would definitely try to practice these today while it's fresh, and definitely go back over this section of the video just for the steps. But once you get the hang of that, they're really not that difficult. All right, so let's go on to standing seam metal roofs, our next thing. So what I'm talking about when I'm referring to standing seam metal roofs, standing seam metal roof, are these guys. Think about the roofs that they have on the buildings at Delgado. They're just regular metal roofs. They have these ridges then that connect the different panels. There's different panels are connected together. There's lots of different, here you can see a better view of it right here, how these panels are interconnected to make this a good watertight roof. So we're basically going to create a metal roof, and then we're going to add these ridges to it, these standing seams, the seams itself. That's how we're going to create our roof today. Now, these look really nice on roofs that have slopes, not so great on flat roofs. They're not used on flat roofs, but we want to have this design element included in this. So we'll go ahead and just, you can leave your flat roof, just you can still change it to standing seam metal roof. It may be a little frustrating to do that, but you know, I have full faith that you all can figure it out. All right, so let's jump back to Revit and figure out how we're going to do it. So what I like to do is I like to come from a side view instead of that front view, just because I like to have access to this peak right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate this roof. We're going to click on that roof, make it active. I hit copy. And we're just going to raise that roof again. So we made a really quick copy of that roof. Notice when we swing over here, it copied the roof exactly how it was, which is why we want to do our dormers first, because it created our dormer holes on that. And there was no set height. I just wanted to get it off of that original roof. So I'm going to click on the roof, make it active. I'm going to come back over here to properties. I'm going to drop down on my type selector, and I'm going to go all the way down and change that regular roof to slope glazing. So when I change that to sloped glazing, it'll look like this. Basically what I did is I just made it a glass roof. So this is really awesome if I was creating a greenhouse, but I'm not. So I need to change that material from glass to metal. So with this active, I'm going to go into edit type. I'm going to duplicate and rename. Call this, let's call it metal roof. And we're going to come down to Come down to construction where it says curtain panel. It says none. And we're going to change that to solid. Let's just see what happens when we change it to solid. So it went from the glass to like this metal. You can change that material as well if you wanted to. We can just leave it like this. All right, let me make it active. Okay, so it's active. I'm going to jump back into edit type. And the next thing we want to take a look at is our grid layout. We're basically just laying, we're adding the mullions to the top of that like we did before. So let's change our layout to, you can do fixed distance, which is obviously the spacing between the grid lines, or a fixed number. So let's just do fixed distance. They're 5 foot apart. And we want to add to that grid line the type of mullions that we want. We'll use interior. We have interior type, and then we can change that to, let's use this one right here. It doesn't matter which one you use for this project. We'll just go ahead and use this one because it's not too large. It's 1.5 by 2.5. And we'll hit OK. And when we finish that, we end up with something that looks like that. Let's turn on the color so you can see. That looks pretty good. So obviously it's like flying over it right now. So we want to click on it, make it active. And let's see. There we go. Now it's active. Now I'm just using my directional arrows on my keyboard to just kind of drop that down a little bit. I basically want it to sit on that other roof. And we end up with something that looks like that. So let's click on this roof again and make it active again. Let's go into edit type. Oops, cancel. All right, now I've got the part that I want. Edit type. And notice how I said this at fixed distance and it's 5 foot apart. So if I wanted these to be closer, I can change that to 3 foot. Notice how it changes the distance on that as well. All right, let's do that with these 2 little dormer roofs right here. Same thing. Let's go for our front view. So we have access to that front part, just like we have access to that little peak. So at this point, I'm going to click on this dormer roof, make it active. I'm going to copy it. I like to select the peak and just drag that right up. And I've got my copy right there. And I'm going to click on this roof, make it active, jump back over here. And all I have to do right now is go back down to the new metal roof that I created, and it has all the same parameters in it. So I'm going to click on that, make it active. Zoom that back around there. I have something that looks like this. And we'll go ahead and connect those roofs. So join roof. Yeah, that's not what we wanted. Sometimes this part gets a little tricky. Joining this dormer roof. Let's cancel that. Doo-doo. Yeah, just making things worse now. She's gonna unjoin, yeah. Now, there is a way to do this. I've done it before, I promise you. Just having trouble selecting the right element. Hide the standing seam metal roof there. And now I should be able to join it. Why are you wanting to unjoin now? Let me hide that part. All right, work with me. Work with me, Revit. All right, jump over to the other one. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it does connect. Yeah, we all have trouble with Revit sometimes. Let's go ahead and make this another standing seam metal roof and see if I can work this one a little bit better. I'm not sure what's going on with that. What I would do to fix that is I just go ahead and delete that and then probably do another one. But let's try to do this one over here. What's going on? All right, so click on that roof, make it active. Copy. I like to select a peak. Copy that straight up like that. Let's try and join it first and see if that's what the problem is. All right, join roof. Yeah, there we go. We have to join it first before we change it to a standing seam metal roof. That worked. Just made me feel crazy. All right, click on that, make it active. Jump down to metal roof. And then we can go to our front view. Just kind of use our directional arrows to lower that into place. So you have something that looks like that. Great. All right, let's do that again with this one over here. Let's delete this, get rid of it. Let's just start over again. All right, front view. Click on that little roof, make it active. Go to copy. Copy from that peak, just up. Doesn't matter how much, just as long as it's detached and we can see it separately from that part. Let's go to an angle view. Now we want to join the roofs. So let's join next, like this roof to this roof. Great, that worked so much better. So we've joined the roofs. Now we're going to click on that roof, make it active, change the type to our metal roof. And then we're just going to lower that with our directional arrow so it's sitting on top of that other roof. And we have something that looks like that. So that is how we create dormers and standing seam metal roofs. Remember, when you're creating your dormers, your standing seam metal roof on your dormers, to connect the roof first and then change it to the metal roof type, or it'll make you crazy like I felt. So that's pretty much it for today's class. Any questions about what we did today? They're kind of lots of steps involved with these two things that we did today, but it just takes a little practice, and it'll be interesting to have them incorporated into your design work. Any questions about today's lessons or anything else, y'all? Okay, if there's no questions, we'll go ahead and end class. Remember, if there's anything else that you need, you can always shoot me a text, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. So y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday. All right, bye.